morning, happy Friday, and welcome back to the NoFo Live Show, where I, Sunita, along with my co-host Tracy from Miss Tracy Kessler, we hop on every Friday and talk about everything North Fork. I'm sorry, as I'm talking, I feel like my voice is hoarse. It's been a crazy busy week. I feel like I've done so many things this week, which is not normal for me because as social as I am, I have kind of figured out that I really am a homebody. But this week, I think I ended up at many different places. One of my favorite things that I did this week was, I think I mentioned a couple of times on the show that I am on the board of Slow Foodie Stand. And we hosted an event at Macari Vineyards this past week. And it was about composting. And it was really great because Macari themselves are, I don't want to say pioneers, but, have been composting and doing sustainable farming practices for their grape growing. The Long Island Organics Council, and they came and gave a talk about ways in which you can reduce your organic food waste from your home. Good morning, Tracy. How are you? And if you don't want to have a compost pile in your backyard, they are introducing a pilot program where you have a countertop unit and you can empty all your scraps, even your cooked food scraps that you ate, into the unit, push a button, and overnight it pulverizes and dehydrates it into something that they call a soil amendment. So it's not quite compost, but you can mix it with soil and it's great for your garden. So I'm fascinated by that because I feel like so much, first of all, we have to drive our trash to the transfer station. I know, Tracy, you don't have that issue because you have trash pickup.
No, I don't, but I am very interested in composting, as you know, and I've been trying to figure out the best way to go about it here. So I'm interested to hear what you learned.
Yeah, no, it was great. And it wasn't only about this particular unit. It was about all the different ways. I think River had just implemented, I want to call it the green bucket system, where you can take your organic scraps to the transfer station instead of putting them in the landfill and stuff. I think they just started a program. And so they were talking about starting something like that in South Old Town, and that they, so it was great.
So I was talking to my friend who lives down in Delaware, and I know she moved from California to Delaware, and in California, composting is part of your trash pickup. And she was saying that she actually found a service where she lives where someone comes and picks it up for her.
Yes.
Every week.
Well, they have that for the trash pickup here in Southfield too. But now I think the idea is there's zero reason for organic waste to end up in the landfill. So there's so many options of what you can do with it. So it was really informative. And the fact that it was at Macari, I mean, you can, from the tasting room deck, you can see their compost pile. Like, they are big into reusing the grapes. So that was a great thing to do. I just want to say, Ryan, I see Chef Ryan trying to log on. Are you trying to log on from your account, or are you logging in from the Little Fish account? Because I see both fluctuating, I think. So if you're logging in from yours, I guess I can just accept that one. Tracy, you want to talk about what we did last night? Because I'm still worn out from that, but it was so fun.
Well, as you can see, my hair and makeup team did not show up this morning. So... yeah, we were out, late for this lady. I was out till 9, and we went to Blast for Cast, which was real. We were going to be a part of the charitable aspect. Hey.
Hello.
And we were sponsors of the event. But it was like the place to be seen. I was shocked at how many people were there. It was such a great event. It was really inspiring. They had a great auction, great food. It was at American Beach. We had a blast. A fabulous band. I'm sure there's footage of us out there somewhere dancing. So look for that.
Tracy and I always working when we're together, so it was nice to have an excuse to go out and have fun.
Yeah.
I want that picture of you with the unicorn hat. I can't even explain it, but we need to post that. So
I will post it. If you're not the type of person to actually put a unicorn head on, if you're not willing to post it, so it's fine, I'll post it.
Good morning, Brian. How are you? Sorry, we just have so much to talk about today.
Oh, I'm excellent. No, I'm enjoying the banter. It's good.
I don't see Little Fish on yet.
I think Arden's trying to join through Little Fish.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, I saw it said Arden is on Little Fish, and that came from Little Fish.
Right, but I don't see a join request. Let me see if I can send one.
Yeah, maybe he needs a little help there.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna send the invite. Arden, if you can see it, hopefully it'll. Nope, I see somebody else trying to join, but that's not Arden. But sometimes when you're watching the live show, it says, "Do you want to join?" And people will accidentally hit join, but just
Or maybe they do
don't
want to
have
participate. Who knows?
Well, I think some of them don't realize that if I accept it, boom, they're going to be on camera. So just a little PSA. If you're watching, you can just watch. You don't have to hit that button unless you want to be on camera with us. Oh my God. I'm trying to think. Oh, another thing I did this week, which, like I said, I did a lot. The Wednesday night pop-ups for Little Ram oysters at the Shoals. That was incredibly fun as well. The oysters are obviously great. But one of the reasons I also went is because they just started their own label of wine, and Ali Shaper, who makes the wine for several different brands here, makes the wine. I think it's called Good Times and Tan Lines or something like that.
And that's a Shoals? It's going to be a Shoals brand?
No, it's a
Little Ram.
It's a Little Ram wine. I believe it's a Little Ram. It keeps saying that Little Fish can't join. I don't know why they can't join. Is it the app needs updating? Believe me, we have these tech issues all the time, but we'll make it work. Otherwise, we're happy to chat with you, right?
Yeah, I'm here.
until Arden figures it out. Yeah, I keep seeing a different account that wants to keep joining. Well, while we wait for Arden, why don't we hop in? Because, it's a 30-minute show and it flies by.
Sure.
So welcome, Steph.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about your background and how you got to be a chef.
Oh, man. I guess it started with the age-old question of what do you want to do when you grow up?
Yeah.
I don't know. I was like 15 years old. People were asking me this question, and I originally wanted to open up an ice cream shop because I loved ice cream.
Was this answer at like 5, or was this answer at 25? The ice cream shop.
Hey, there he is.
Good morning.
Why did my headphones disconnect now? I'm having one problem after another today.
That's all right. That's all right. It's too early in the morning for all of us, but that's the fun of the show.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
See what everyone's morning face is?
Yeah. Especially after a night of dancing, yes.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
So Ryan, you were saying you wanted to open an ice cream shop, and?
Oh, I was 15 and I was infatuated with this idea of just ice cream and combined flavors, and just, my personal love of life was just ice cream. And then, that idea developed into fresh fruit bar. And then, somewhere along the line between there and 17 years old, I got this dream where I dreamt of this place that I've completely built out in my mind at this point. Very big space, needs a lot of money, but I have every detail mapped out in my mind. So about like 17 years old, I know I want to get into restaurants, and I know this is something that I want to be a part of, and I have this vision of an idea for a restaurant that I want to do. And my dad's like, all right, this is not a good idea, son. You shouldn't get into restaurants. So he goes to his best friend, who's the GM of a great bar and restaurant in Huntington called Finley's. And he says, hey, TC, you got to talk to my son. Tell him to not be in the restaurant business. Tell him it's a hard game to get into. You got to convince him not to do it. So TC turns around and he goes to me. He's like, hey, Ryan, how'd you like your first job in a restaurant? And I'm like, sure, sounds great. I had no idea what I was going to do. I just said yes. And I show up to my first day on the job, and he's got this big outdoor patio where there's, cocktails in the evening, like pretty much from, 6 p.m. They start some live music out there. There's an outdoor bar, and then it goes till 4 in the morning with all the college kids, DJs and all that stuff, and it's outside. And then there's this own little hotline set up where I'm a short order cook. I'm going to be cooking burgers and chicken fingers for people all night long. I'm 17 years old. I've never cooked anything for anyone in my entire life. I've been just at home.
Except ice cream.
Yeah, except ice cream, and some things with my mom or whatever. But I've never been a cook or a chef or anything like that. I had no idea what I was getting into. And I did this, every summer through high school, and then I went to college, and I come back, um, on my summers, and I would be at the restaurant, and then eventually TC ended up taking over the restaurant and opened up a place called Storyville American Table. It was a New Orleans Cajun Creole restaurant, and when he opened that within that establishment, he brought me into the kitchen, and then that's where I really learned my chops of becoming a chef. I started on uh, salads and pastries and desserts, which is my passion. And then I moved over to the flat top, and then eventually up to saute. And I did this for 5 or 6 years until eventually I realized I wanted to try to get out of restaurants. But that was kind of the start of it all. It was like it did not work. It did not work. But that was sort of the start of it all. It was just falling into it naturally, and then unfortunately falling in love with it because I spent all my time there.
So speaking of love, tell me about your connection to Turkey specifically. I know you said you did you do some cooking there? Because I know you have a Turkish influence in your cuisine or your menu at Little Fish as well.
So when I was in school, I was studying abroad in Vancouver, and I met some international friends, and namely was a woman from Saudi Arabia, and we were dating, and we needed to meet up in between here in Saudi Arabia, and we chose Turkey, and this was like 2012. We met up in Turkey, did 2 weeks, bounced around day in each city. It was nonstop, action-packed, full of food and travel, a lot of fun. But it blew my mind. You wake up in the morning, you're eating fresh vegetables and jams, and just you have this huge spread of fresh food. It was just unbelievable. And you had your options for everything. And then, lunchtime would be, several hours later, but you would eat this big sustainable meal. And then, at night was a bit more of a snacking and meze style. And I just felt like my days were so full and jam-packed, and I was doing so much, but I never felt stuffed. I never felt bloated. I never felt weighed down. I felt like I had this sustainable energy throughout my entire day. And I found that to be the most remarkable takeaway from the entire trip, was that I was just eating in such a way that I felt great. And so I came back to America with this newfound concept of what it meant to eat food and how to eat food and, the way to eat food. So I started studying Turkish culture and cuisine, back in 2012. My mom started buying me cookbooks for Christmas, and I just fell in love with the culture of food from Turkey. And, fast forward a decade later, and now I'm married to a Turkish woman, and it has consumed me. I say I'm more Turkish than her sometimes. But I fell in love with the culture and the food, and, here I am now, and I've been to Turkey many times, and
Awesome.
I plan to go back.
Awesome. So Arden, tell us what made you jump into the restaurant, and more specifically, how did Little Fish come about in South Oak?
Well, good morning, everybody, first of all. A little technical difficulty off the bat there, but we figured it out. I guess I am somewhat of a legacy restaurateur, if you want to call it that. My parents opened a restaurant in Montauk back in 2006. I had worked in restaurants previously before, but not in any sort of invested sense, just summer work, whatever. And in somewhat of a parallel to Ryan's story, but from different side of the coin, I was in college. My parents said, "We're going to open a restaurant in Montauk." And I was like, "You idiot, expletive, expletive." What are you thinking? This is the single worst idea I've ever heard come out of anybody's mouth. What are you thinking? And it was quite a journey. 668 The King Shack's been in Montauk almost 20 years now. It's incredibly successful, but it definitely had its bumps along the way. But I think going through that experience and being part of something where you're so intimately connected with your clients, with your coworkers, with my family, it was a family business, so we spent all day together, is a really special experience. And I, like Ryan, tried to find myself in a different career. I went and worked in dental sales in New York City, amongst other things. But after a while, the restaurant industry dragged me back. And as we were going through COVID, I was granted the opportunity to potentially open another restaurant, which had been something I had really always wanted to do.
Oh,
And when
so
looking at
you've
location,
long forgotten about how that was a bad idea.
yeah.
I think the dental sales cured that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I still knew it was a bad idea, but at least I knew how much I enjoyed it. And I think that's really something that I kind of grew into understanding, and I think is really essential for, if not all, but damn near close to anybody in the hospitality industry, particularly the restaurant owners themselves. It is a business. You hope to make a good living at it, but you do it, number one, because you love it. And I tell my staff, I try to tell my clients every day, this is something we're just so happy to be here. We're so happy to be part of this community. We're so happy to be part of this business. To be afforded this opportunity is such a privilege and a luxury. And, this is not something that's done from any sort of common good sense. This is done from a place of just love and passion and a conviction to keep trying no matter the tribulations. But definitely not from good sense. That's not part of it.
Well, I've heard you guys have been packed since you opened, and everybody's talking about it, which is amazing. That's really great.
Thank you.
We're lucky.
Well, it's a great
We're really
vibe.
fortunate.
I think a lot of people probably remember the restaurant that was there before, which was a steakhouse. And then it's not far from me, so I've kind of walked through it often, and I've seen you guys make the changes and the transformation. But I feel like you've done a great job with the vibe inside of making it. I don't want to use the word coastal, but that's the first word that comes to mind, because even the glasses that you guys choose to serve the drinks in have these really beautiful aqua blue hues. The fact that when you play the live music, even the little artwork is tilted. I was like, this whole vibe, I just love everything about the changes you guys made. But tell me a little bit about that process, because that's not easy, coming up with the vision of what you want the space to look like as well.
Yeah, I mean, when we first walked into it, and some of you, wow, sorry, goldfinch. When we first walked into the space, and some of you may recall what the Elbow East looked like. It was a very sectioned off, closed in. It was definitely trying to kind of shutter itself off from the world around it. And as Sunita, you live right in the neighborhood, like, I felt it's such a beautiful area, even within the context of the North Fork. It reminds me of more of the coastal moraine that I would imagine in Amagansett or something like that. It's a really unique geography. And with its kind of like open layout, my instinct, even at the very first time walking into the space, was just open everything up.
Yeah.
Open the windows, open the blinds, go as high up on the ceiling as you can, windows side to side. And it was the immediate first thought that came to mind. The colors and the accents, they all came later, and there were a lot of other little steps in between. But it felt, there was really a sense of creating something that was a gathering space for the community. And that's both opening it up so it can physically interact with the world around it, but also creating an environment within the space that I think is more communal, where instead of the classic long railroad bar that goes down a dark hallway, we created a center, almost island bar, three-quarter island bar, so that when I see it almost every evening in service, it kind of forces people to interact with each other. It allows it to be a kind of a watering hole, and the more feels.
Well, and one of the things you're talking about the inside, but one of the things they also say is location, location, location. Yeah. And with your location, literally, I think the first and the second time when I came to dinner, I mean, everybody knows I'm obsessed with sunsets. So my husband and I were on a date sitting there, and it was perfect time for a sunset. So I had to leave my meal and walk to Kenny's Beach and take a picture of the sunset and come back. And I think the fact that I could do both things, have a great meal and watch a sunset, I mean, win-win in my books.
It's actually been one of the little bumps for us on the night-to-night basis. Has it been that the sunsets can kind of really schedule service in a way where you get either a wall of people that want to be done by sunset, or a wall of people that come in right after sunset. And we say, like, you know, it's been really funny because you'll have this section of 30, 45-minute block of reservations that, because either they're, you know, they're just finishing sunset or what have you, will all come in at the same time, right as the sun sets, and you're always scrambling to accommodate them all and figuring it out. But it is beautiful. And, you know, my mother, who did a lot of the real design work, you know, when it came to finishes and such like that, pick the colors and such, I have to give her real credit. I mean, the way that the room kind of blends with the sunsets when the light hits perfect, it creates this, again, really interconnected experience of the dining room and the world around it, which, like I said from the beginning, was always our goal. So we're very happy with how that all worked out.
So are you guys open 5 days a week now?
So
I mean,
we
7
were
days a week? Sorry. How many days are there in a week?
so
7
we
days a
were
week? Excuse me.
7 days
Yeah.
lunch and dinner. We have been, as you said yourself, very busy. And I'm sure I'm not the first person to mention how difficult staffing can be. We've got a great staff. We've really focused on not rushing to hire people that aren't a good fit. We want a really healthy environment. You know, if you talk to any of our staff, that's one of the things that I think has made us so successful is, unlike so many seasonal but just restaurant businesses overall that can have really toxic environments. I mean, this is a big topic of conversation globally right now, is how difficult the restaurant industry can be. We're really focusing on a safe space. We don't, even if things are hard and difficult, we don't encourage people getting frustrated or lashing out at each other. We're really trying to make it something where, you know, we're not making things harder than they need to be because of the way we're treating each other. But it does mean that there's a somewhat more limited pool of employees to pull from.
Yeah.
And so the last week, this week as well, we're closed just one day, just Tuesday. And we're working diligently to get back to 7 days lunch and dinner. But for at least the next couple of weeks, it's probably going to be 6 days lunch and dinner until we find the right fit. But
I think
all things.
That's really important. And I think that's, you know, like you said, I mean, that's pretty unique in the restaurant industry to foster a kind and supportive working environment over necessarily, you know, what your business goals are. So I think that really says a lot about you, Arden, and the business that you're running and the people that work with you. And I actually know several people personally who work there.
Me
and
too.
They all love it.
Me too. It was nice to walk in and see familiar faces. I know Rita's working there, Jess is working there. So just to name a few that as soon as they walk in, I'm like, oh, hi. So that's great. That's great.
We've been really fortunate to get such a great group of staff, front and back. And again, I think that's really testament to you know, really just focusing on that, you know, right energy. There's a damn bit of luck, you know, starting with Chef Ryan here. You know, prior to Ryan coming on board, which was, I mean, it was literally 2 weeks before we opened last fall, was Ryan and I started working. You know, most restaurants, the chef and the ownership are working together for months at end, but there was an inevitability that I might have been the chef for the first month or two, but fortunately Ryan showed up to save the day.
Pop-up when Ryan takes a vacation.
I know. I get back there and get my hands dirty when I need to.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, me and Arden were on the line 4th of July weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I want to flip back to the menu a little bit, Ryan.
Sure.
Tell us what is the absolute must-try, passionate dishes that you're putting on the menu that if someone walks in, they should order.
Oh, people definitely have to try the monkfish tikka masala. I think it's something that Arden and I brainstormed over the winter time when we were plugging away here back in February, March, just trying to get ready. We were craving Indian food, and we couldn't figure out where we could get it around here.
Well, tell me.
Like,
as you figured it out, tell me first.
Yeah, so we created it. You know, we figured, you know, who better to do it than us?
Absolutely.
And let's put a seafood twist on it. And we decided with monkfish because Cornell was doing the monkfish program with the cooperative extension, and there was an awareness for it, and they're trying to do this whole program involved with it, and they actually got us to do a cooking show. So I actually taught how to cook the monkfish, so you can find that through the Cornell Cooperative Extension. I believe they actually posted the video somewhere online.
I think it's on YouTube. I think I saw a link somewhere.
Cool, yeah. I know it's out there somewhere in
Yeah.
the
I'm
web.
actually going there next to check on my oysters, which is why I'm wearing a cover-up, because it's raining. They're,
Well,
they're a
so
great program. They're doing such great thing. And I love that you're, furthering their monkfish sustainable program.
Well, so I gotta say, in a way, they did inspire that dish to be monkfish. We knew we wanted something Indian, we wanted something different, and we landed on that. And I think, there was actually Kelly from, NoFo Endless Summer. We One of the first nights that she was here, I sent it out to her. I was like, "Hey, you got to try this," and she took the time and came over to us afterwards, and she's like, "Hey, I gotta tell you, like, I never would have ordered this dish because I don't like curries. I don't typically eat tikka masala, but oh my gosh, that was one of the best things that I've ever eaten." And I'm like, exactly, what we're trying to do here is have a balance of flavors. People ask all the time, is it spicy? Is it this? Is it that? I'm like, no, it's balanced. You're going to taste a little bit of pepper, but it's not going to be like high heat. We're trying to think about how to appeal the mass crowd, try to appeal this large influx of so many different types of customers. If you walk in on any given night, you will see a range from young to old to new to local. It's really cool to see that diverse customer base that we have.
Every time
And
I
that's a
come,
large part.
there's a lot of people with little kids, babies and little kids. And
Oh,
I was
yeah.
like,
Oh,
so
so
great
A lot
to
of kids
see
in the
them.
North Fork.
Yes, no,
Yeah.
it was really great to see. There were lots of little kids. I know, Arden, you yourself have a young family, but in the restaurant, a lot of high chairs, a lot of young kids. It's great. It's great
I
to
love
really
hearing
see
that because I often tend to feel like a hot spot at the moment is not a good place for me to bring my daughter because it's too busy and too much.
Oh, Arden's own Hazel sometimes is our bus girl or the host, She's working on her diverse skill set herself,
Wait, how
Them
old is
started
she?
early.
Because I don't think she's 3. I mean, how old is
Two and
she?
a half.
Just
I really, just getting her a good foundation. She's basically, stuck in this business for life now, so you might as well teach them young.
Yeah, there we go.
I,
Be a real
Great.
legacy
I can't wait for her.
restaurateur.
I can't wait for for her to be the host and go, do you have a reservation?
Yeah.
Me too. I'm sure she'll figure it out.
Well, guys, we usually end our show with the same 5 questions, but we're running out of time here. So I'm going to ask you both to just answer our last most important question, which is why do you love being a part of the North Fork community? So Arden, you go first.
Honestly, it's really about family is a huge thing. I have a young family. I've got another one on the way. I was in New York City prior to moving out here, and the sense of greater community that the North Fork has brought to my life from my staff, everyone. I mean, I felt so welcomed out here. It's an amazing place to raise a family. The restaurant has been so amazing, and yeah, I think it's just that, the North Fork really is a family. It's summer, it's busy, but there's such a great, deep sense of community between all the little towns out here. And to have been welcomed into that is such a privilege. So thank you all for that.
And Ryan, what about you?
Very similar sentiment. I think it's just the immediate connection to everyone. It's a very small town vibe. There is still very much like a blue collar feel. The refrigeration guy, the town lawyer, everyone or they know that person. And having that really close, tight knit community is super important. And for me, I've always found that I've liked a smaller feel. I went to a smaller high school, I went to a smaller college, and being in this smaller town, it just really feels interconnected in a way where we're supporting one another. And I feel like I want to help the other businesses and the other community members, and I know these people personally. And having that personal touch is really important. And I feel like I'm a part of something. I'm not just a cog in the wheel. And having that interconnection in Greenport and Southold and the greater North Fork area is just, I think it's very unique and very special.
Well, thank you for sharing your passions with us. It really, for both of you, it really comes through, even on your first meeting with you. So thank you for sharing that with us. And I have to say, This is the most comments I think we've ever gotten in a live. So you guys are you really are interconnected with the community because they showed up for you today and they are talking. So that's great.
Well, thank you, Little Fish family. Sunita, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for hosting us today. We look forward to seeing you all around the restaurant and around town.
We will.
Yeah, we
Thank
appreciate
you
it.
both. Thank you, Arden, and thank you, Chef Ryan, for being on. Please go visit Little Fish. Make a reservation. Is it through Resi? How do they make a reservation?
It's through Talk, which is a similar platform, but the easiest thing is just go to littlefishnofo.com, click the reservation link at the top, or of course you can always call us, email us. All the information's on our website, or just pop your head in and say hi. We do have a lot of outdoor tables, so as long as you can stand the heat or it's not too rainy like it is today, feel free just to swing by. Never be afraid just to walk on in.
Pro tip, the outdoor tables are walk-in. So
Yeah.
if you don't have a reservation, feel free to just try to get a table outside. But thank you so much. I can't wait. Tracy, we're going to take Tilly soon.
Oh, yes,
show
we
up
are.
there.
Yes, we are. And we'll
All right,
be pre-sunset due to her bedtime. So
I'm
get that.
fine with leaving the table, taking a sunset, and coming back. I'm fine with that. I just
Whatever
carry my
works
drink to the beach.
for you. Whatever works.
We're here.
Well, thank you for the delicious food. Thank you for opening up in the neighborhood. And most importantly, thank you for being part of the community and furthering our community the way it does exist and integrating and being a part of it. So thank you so much.
Thanks,
See
guys.
Thank
guys.
you.
Happy Friday.
Bye.
Happy Friday.